So first of all, I'm using my 1-inch circle punch, and then I'm taking my X-cut nesting dies, and I'm just going to pop that through my Sizzix Big Shot. And what I'm trying to achieve is to have 2 little rings that I can use on my card, on the wedding invitation. And then I'm using the heart big die. It's the small heart, the smallest heart that I'm using on this particular die. And again, I'm just passing that through my Sizzix Big Shot. Now, once I've got my 2 little rings, I'm just colouring those in with the uni paint marker. I did that on both sides and all around the edges, just so that there wasn't any white card showing. I used, I think for the hearts and the rings, I was using 220 GSM cardstock. And once they were all dry, I just popped some glossy accents on both of the rings, just to give them a nice shine, and then left those to dry. And once they were dry, I just made a little snip in one of the rings so that I could link them together, and then I turned them over onto the back side of them, and then put a couple of little dobs of glue just to secure them together. And one of the dobs of glue was where the actual link was, so that it all secured everything together. And again, just left those aside to dry. This was a large heart that I had to cut this one out, make my own not stencil, what do you call it, template for, because the large die, the Sizzix large die, wasn't quite big enough, so I used my own, cut my own out. And then I'm just using, it's a Do Crafts stamp. It's Victorian Albert Museum is where it's from. I didn't actually get it from there, I got it from a craft shop, but I'm just inking that with my Versamark, and then brayering it on to make sure I get a nice even coverage. And I'm using 2 different embossing inks. I'm using Enchanted Gold on one of the hearts, and that's by Papermania, and then the other embossing ink is called Bridal Embossing Tinsel by Ranger. That's me just showing you my template there. So there's very subtle difference in colour, but they are different. And the reason they're different is because I want to cut them in half, and each heart I want to be made out of the 2 different colours. So I want one half of the heart to be out of the tinsel colour, and one half of the heart to be out of the goldy colour. And the same with the small. I did the exact same thing with the small hearts. And I want one side of each colour. And now I'm just adding the initials of the bride and groom to the big heart, just using Versamark again. And the embossing ink that I'm using, embossing powder that I'm using this time, is a Do Crafts powder, and the colour is Gold Shellac. And I'm just taking off the little bits, the little irritating bits around the edges. And then I'm just going to set that with my heat gun, as I did with the hearts. And then finally for the hearts, just inking the edges with some distress ink, vintage photo. Right, and now I'm ready to put the card together. So I've got 300 GSM watercolour cardstock for both the card and the matte piece. And then I've also printed a little sort of header piece out of the same cardstock that just has the bride and groom's name, and it just says, you know, that the bride and groom are getting married and you're invited, basically, is what it says. And I did that on my computer, and now I'm just adding some dimensionals to that, just to give it a bit of dimension, obviously. Sharp Jane. And now I've taken a silver and a gold heart, and I'm going to stick those directly down onto the cardstock. I want them to be contrasting. And then what I'll do is I take the smaller hearts, and I'm going to place the gold small heart on the silver big heart, and the silver small heart on the gold big heart. Did I get that right? I'm not sure. Anyway, hopefully you'll know what I mean. And I'm just adding dimensionals to the small heart. I want them to contrast with the base heart that I'm putting them on. Now I've got some lemon ribbon, and I'm using lemon because that's the accent colour that the bride's using. Just threaded that through my little rings, and I'm just attaching the ribbon with my ATG gun. I used glossy accents to secure the ribbon on this particular card, but later on, as I got going with, as I did a few wedding invitations for this person, I started to use glue dots because I found that was kind of worked better, and I used the glue dots for the knot as well. So I've just tied a knot in the ribbon, and I'm just going to burnish the ends of the ribbon with a little flame, just to stop it from fraying. And then I'm just going to thread that through. And like I say, and on this occasion I used fabric glue to secure the ribbon, but as I got going again, I just used a glue dot. It seemed to work quite well. And then I'm just going to use my ATG gun to put the matte piece onto the main body of the card. And then the final step that you don't actually see me do on this card is there's an insert that goes into the middle that's got all the details of the wedding. But I didn't really want to show that because it had all the details of the wedding on it. So that's the card finished. Thank you for watching.